Hello, everybody. It's Stephanie Grams, and hopefully, we have a good connection today. So, I am Sopreneur, and I also go by the Memory Bear Business Coach. Where I help sewing enthusiasts go from hobbyist to a sopreneur, and I mainly talk about the Memory Bear business, sentimental sewing, that kind of thing, and really for the rest of 2022 I'm just going to expand into all types of sewing business ideas, and sewing as a career. And the reason I'm doing that is because I was thinking back over the years. I've been sewing since I was 7 years old, and that's well over 35 years now. And I did not start with memory bears. In fact, I started hand sewing. Slow stitching is what it's called. And I would sit for hours and make those fabric yo-yos, and then that was at the age of 7 years old. And then over on and off over my years as a child, I would learn hand embroidery. Now my grandma taught me that as well, and I was taught that it was called candle wicking, but it goes by different names. Basically, it's hand embroidery, and I perfected that skill over my life. My grandma's been gone for over 25 years now. In fact, going on almost 30 years. And over all these years, my mom would step in, and my mom actually showed me how to use a sewing machine. I did try it on my own, but then that became frustrating for me. And again, that was in my late teens, and so my mom was the one that showed me how to use a sewing machine. Um, I would hand embroider, hand stitch, slow stitch, things like that. Before I even knew there was something called crazy quilting, I would mess around with different buttons and different embroidery thread and even yarn. And so, with yarn growing up, not realizing that that was actually an art. So, now that I'm in my 40s, I can say that. Um, I want to reach out and expand that. So, this channel moving forward in the sopreneur.com website is actually going to talk about the different professions and careers you can take with your sewing skills. Whether you are a hand stitcher, or you have an industrial machine and you're already making maybe bags, different costumes. Maybe you have a long arm quilting machine and you make quilts or just long arm. There's probably something in this channel or the website for you. So jump in where you're at. It doesn't matter if you have great skills or you're just starting out, or it's a profession or career that you're looking into. Definitely hang out, like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, get on the free newsletter, and then jump in. I do take time to answer your questions, but I typically answer the questions this way via YouTube videos. Again, you have to excuse the lighting. There's not much I can do about that. What's coming in is literally just from natural lighting. And again, I can't technically change that. It looks like my lamp is on, but it's not. That is just the sunshine coming in. All right, guys. So I wanted to talk about something that's beyond the sewing machine. Um, as long as you're behind the sewing machine, you can make money. But everybody needs a break, right? You might need a vacation. You might get ill. You might be taking care of family members or children. Uh, a, Maybe you have a different job and you want sewing to be your full time income. But if you are not in front or behind, I should say, that sewing machine, then how are you going to make money? And that is a rut that many of us get in, and we don't know how to get out of that rut. So today is an idea. You can take it or leave it, run with it, make it your own. But this is how I have made money with no sewing machine. If you've been following me all of 2022, you know that my all of my machines are in Ohio in a storage, because I have nowhere to put them here in South Carolina. Um, I don't believe I'm going to stay in South Carolina for the rest of my life. I definitely don't have any plans of retiring here. Um, Hopefully my husband knows that. But I did not bring in my machines with me. It would have been several thousands of dollars to rent a U-Haul, pack it up, bring it with us, and then find a huge place to live. I shouldn't say huge because that's that means different things to different people. But right now we're in these a condo, and they're very small. In fact, they're smaller than like a bed than a an apartment building that you might be used to. um, there's literally no space. Like, we are climbing on each other, just trying to maneuver the space that we have. So if you have heard about tiny living, that is what our living situation is like. If we were just here for like a vacation, then it would be perfectly fine. But this is like full time living for us right now. So space is very limited, and the tiny little kitchen table that we have. It's not fair for me to have a sewing machine, my embroidery machine, or my serger taking up that type of living space for my family. So, you know, I have sewn in small places before, but we had other space for everybody to hang out and be with. Here we don't, because the kitchen and the TV area literally is in just a little tiny square, all crammed together. So it wouldn't be fair for me to take that space for my sewing. So all of 2022, I have done no sewing, but I continuously build my business. So I'm going to talk to you today about what I'm doing and how you can mirror that. Um, Sorry, my husband. You can mirror that maybe in your sewing business today, while you are sewing for people. So the topic is beyond the sewing machine, and I know that probably sounds really generic, but think about what you can do without using your sewing machine as your main tool for income. Um, so you will need to use it for this idea, but you won't need to rely on it to monetize this idea. Years ago, I started designing my own sewing patterns. They were more of a primitive type of pattern. The most popular pattern that I created was a fabric peppermint stick. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me here, it's in storage. But if you follow me online, you will definitely see what it is that I've done. So it was a fabric ornament, and every time I made these, I sold out. Well, the problem was I didn't have 40 hours in one day. I had 40 hours in one week where I could sit and sew. But once I wasn't sewing, the money stopped. And I thought, this is not going to help my family. At the time of me designing that pattern, I was homeschooling four daughters and helping with watching one of my nieces, and it was just, there was only so many days and so many hours in a day. And I thought, okay, I already know that the market is there for this particular pattern, for this particular product, I should say. It wasn't a pattern yet. And I thought, I'm sitting here creating the same product over and over and over, and I'm getting orders before I even had the products completed. I would make one, show it off, let everyone know, this was hand done. It's going to look a little different, but I'm going to do the same type of technique. But I would get an order from one person for a dozen of these items. Finally, I'm like, okay, I tested the market. It's popular. It is a good thing. Um, I then thought, all right, how can I replicate myself without actually sitting behind the sewing machine? So I created a PDF pattern. I hand drew the pattern and typed out the exact steps to make the product. This is before we had smartphones. I don't even think that I had a cell phone at all when we did this. I remember having a landline only. So, with a smartphone these days, this this whole project would have been done in a day and uploaded into my Etsy shop and been done with. But today is your advantage, right? You have technology available to you that I didn't 20 years ago when I made this particular pattern. So I made a prototype. I actually made several prototypes of this particular pattern. Again, it was a fabric peppermint stick ornament. And from top to bottom, it was about an inch and a half to 2 inches. And I made it very unique. It was handmade, hand painted. I used what was popular back then was called glass glitter. And you can buy synthetic glitter now that looks like glass crystals. That way you don't cut your hands like I used to cut my hands using glass. And I created the finished product. I filmed it. I filmed how I made these and sold the pattern. Now, I only list the pattern during Christmas, which is for me and my shop, it's going to be the month of July and then again November 1st. You can do what you want, but that's kind of how I run my Christmas in July um, patterns. And if you follow me on Etsy, you're going to see my Christmas patterns listed in July and again and then November 1st. But that that little tweak that I did in my business all those years ago gave me money where I did not have to sit behind my sewing machine. Now, if you are focused on memory bears, you're kind of looking at me like, how are you going to do that with memory bear, right? Because memory bears, t-shirt blankets, um, other memorial and comfort care products are made out of the clothing of a loved one or your favorite clothing, right? That you want to pass down to generations. So how are you going to do that in this field? Well, you might have to add a product line to your sewing services. I'm not saying that you would replace making your memory bears, but why rely on just one form of income? I mean, don't you want to be able to take a break from sewing, but still have money coming in to help you pay your bills or whatever it is you're doing? I know I needed to, and I still need to this day. So, how am I generating income if I don't have my sewing machines with me? And that's one way I do that. I do have digital products in my Etsy shop. And granted, I don't sell a whole lot of them right now, but I haven't been marketing them very well right now either. Um, but it is an option. You do not have to be tech savvy. In fact, like I said, I didn't even have a lot of technology when I created that pattern and sold it. When I first I'll tell you, this is probably really aging me, but Etsy was not around. I don't believe Pinterest was around, and I had a very simple, generic one-page website that was hosted through a company that is no longer even around that I know of. And when somebody wanted to place the order, I had to manually send them a PayPal invoice. Then I had to make sure their payment went through. Then I had to email them the attachment, the pattern as an attachment. There was no automation like there is today. Today we have all kinds of options for automation. A person can go to Etsy, place their order, and download the file within seconds, right? I did not have that. So even though I am a supporter of having your own domain name and your own website, I still think Etsy, for the most part, is a decent option for a growing business. I don't think that once you hit a certain number of sales or customers that you should stay on there. But again, that is totally up to you in the business model that you have for yourself. So I hope today's information was useful for you. And I hope that you stick around and learn more about sewing as a career. I have a lot of exciting things happening. I can't say what they are right now. If you've, like I said, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you will know that I probably don't say enough before things until I actually make the move and create the item or create the website or something along those lines. But I will let you know that if you are on the Sopreneur newsletter, you will eventually be notified of all this. I have been very quiet with the newsletter on purpose. I don't want to send out a lot of junk emails just to send it out. You know what I mean? So I wanted to make sure I had something good to send to you. And I have, and it's behind the scenes, and you will definitely get to know. But if sewing is a business model that you want for yourself, and right now maybe you're just a hobbyist and you don't know how to move from being the hobbyist to a business owner, follow along. You can reach out. I might start offering some free coaching again. I did that for a little while, then I stopped, and I may open that up again for an X, maybe 5 people or 10 people. Other than that, I usually charge $25 an hour for coaching, but I might do a free a free coaching again. So just be on the newsletter, follow me on YouTube, and you will definitely see what's happening and definitely grow your business. All right, guys, have a great day.